I've been on a bulk cycle for 3 weeks now using your mass gaining plan and PED protocol. I've been trying to keep belly fat off, but I'm gaining lower belly fat. Should I stay the course or make changes to the carb count? And should I do fasted cardio in the morning?
What happens is, I think with a lot of guys, is they have a set number in their head of how many grams of carbs they need to eat. Okay, so maybe the macros, and someone's telling them you should take at least 1 gram of carbs per pound that you weigh, or 1.5, or they follow this formula. And I have a formula too that I give people, but for carbs there really is no formula. It's like trial and error. So if you got your protein down proper, which is about a gram and a half, I would say, per pound, and you got your fat down, which is for men about half a gram to 3/4 of a gram per pound that you weigh, the carbs are whatever you can eat without getting too fat, but enough that you're not going to walk around carb depleted and flat. And that number changes for everyone. It's completely different for everyone. There's no two people that are probably exactly the same. So what my number is might be different than what Tyler's number, and what might be different than what your number is. So it depends on what kind of a carb burn. If you're getting lower body fat, and you're bloated all the time, then you're probably eating too many carbs. But I wouldn't cut back my protein and fat. I would cut the carbs back a little and then see how that works. So if you remove 50 grams of carbs, from your daily intake, and all of a sudden now you're not as bloated, and you feel like you're a little tighter, then that's did the job. If you're still feeling bloated and fat, then maybe you need to take more away. So it really depends on, like I said, a trial and error process. I usually start people off on about a gram per what they weigh. So if they're 250 pounds, I'll start them on 250 grams of carbs per day, and then I'll up it or lower it depending on how their body responds.
Let's go to our Instagram questions. Again, if you're not already following us there, the handle is official_RXMuscle. We're actually going to be launching a TikTok page in the coming days as well. So a lot of the content that you see here on the channel, we'll be repackaging it for TikTok, as well as getting a lot more involved with reels. We've been getting a lot of requests from people saying that, look, you have, all this abundance of knowledge, with this show and the other formats that we have. Well, why don't we, instead of just using our clips, on YouTube content, to, distribute them on our other platforms as well. And then obviously introducing a TikTok page. So as soon as that comes about, we'll let you know with the page and everything. But again, if you haven't already followed us on Instagram, it's official_RXMuscle. If you're not already following us here on YouTube, hit the subscribe button below, hit the notification bell. You're not going to miss any of our shows, segments, or updates. Well, we just talked about calves and I guess the genetic component behind bigger calves. Well, this question is from B Winery. He's a physique competitor, wants to know if you have any tips on shrinking the waist. Current coach had me doing one set of 20 cable crunches, one set of 20 vacuums. And then I guess the follow-up to that is, do squats make your waistline bigger?
That I did an experiment one year. I stopped squatting and I just did leg press and hack squats to see if I could bring my waist down. And I did bring my waist down about 1.5 inches, but I also lost the shape of my quads and my legs, the flare and the wow. So I don't know if it's a good enough trade-off. You know what I mean? Because squatting builds mass on the whole body. Are you going to get a little bit more waist thickness? You might, but Flex Wheeler squatted and he never had a big waist. So it is a genetic type of thing, and so I wouldn't get so wrapped up in worrying about that. I like vacuums. I have a video up on our RXMuscle channel. It's called Intestinal Breathing Exercises with Dave Palumbo. Watch that, because not only is that good it's kind of like a similar, it's vacuums, but it's vacuums in a different way that you're not used to doing. And it helps massage the internal organs, which help them release toxins. I learned it from a Korean yoga class. They call it intestinal breathing exercises. And that's something you can really do that's well. Cable crunches, whenever you add weight and start crunching on the side, that actually thickens the musculature there. So I never had any fat on my waist my whole career, but I had thick obliques, and that kind of gave a little bit of a blocky appearance. So you might not want to do those. But the vacuums or the intestinal breathing exercises I talk about are good because it allows you to suck your stomach in and create a vacuum, and it makes the waist look a little smaller. And then, of course, some guys wear waist shapers too, and they do work, but you have to really wear them all the time, and they're very uncomfortable. But if you can do it, it definitely helps.
Arsalan Patan, why do we have to store GH in a refrigerator, and what type of GH can we use or store in room temperature, powder or cartridge?
I mean, you could store a lot of GH at room temperature before it's mixed. Once it's mixed, it's got to go into the refrigerator. I just like to put it in the refrigerator all the time because it keeps the stuff more stable. Because what if like you have, your house heats up or something like that, and the GH may lose some of its lifespan. That's what I always worry about. So if you have the ability to store it in your refrigerator, do it. Now there is the Nootropin brand from Genentech. That comes as a liquid pre-mixed, and it's pretty stable, but that needs to be refrigerated all the time. And there are some that do need to be refrigerated all the time. Like I always tell people, just for safety purposes, when you get your GH, just keep it in the refrigerator, whether it's mixed or not mixed. That's just a better way to be. And if you look, if you don't want your parents to know about it, and you have your own bedroom, you can put one of those little soda refrigerators in your bedroom, the ones you bring to college with you, and you can store it in there if you had to. I used to do that. I used to do that back in the day when I lived in my dad's house. So you could even put they even have ones with little locks on them, so no one's going to go in there and touch any of the stuff. But I just think it's just safer to keep it in the refrigerator.
Personaldus, what can you do about the evil jock itch you develop when your legs grow?
I don't know if that's jock itch, but you can have chafing of your thighs. Shaving your legs on a regular basis definitely helps. That's what people. You ever see these guys that walk around and they look like they're walking like there's something wrong with them? That was me back in the day. My legs were so big they were clunked together almost, and it was uncomfortable. That's why I used to always wear shorts. I hated wearing jeans because they were always rubbing, and it just doesn't feel that great. We would also use, back in the day, we had spandex and stuff like that, and that always helped too because it kind of kept it, a little more, less abrasiveness. But yeah, I would get chafing all the time inside my legs. And I always wore bikini type underwear as opposed to like the boxers, because that kind of keeps your genitalia up a little higher so they're not getting crushed between your thighs as well. I know it sounds ridiculous, but and I haven't even thought about it in years because I don't have that problem anymore. I'm not that big, but that is something that there is to think about. And once again, that was one of the reasons why I always walked around in shorts, even in the winter, because it was just more comfortable.